What's up, everybody? It is your girl, your favorite mentor, Faith Saxton, owner of Elevate to Motivate LLC. How y'all doing? What's up? So I'm just gonna dive right into it. So let me have a disclaimer. I have no organization set, no talking points set. I just want to flow today. I want to flow in order to release a lot of things that I can't really say a lot, but some things that have been heavy on my heart that I have been very passive about. And ironically, it's about unlearning passive aggressiveness or passive aggressive behaviors. So my focus is to always showcase awareness and accountability, because that's the first start, but also just to free myself, to liberate my soul, to speak on something that has been literally, God has been like sticking a knife underneath to just speak about. And I've been fearful of doing it because one thing that I've learned about myself is I have a tendency to fear telling the truth or speaking my truth because I'm concerned about other people's feelings and emotions. But then when the tables are turned, people have no problem telling me their opinions or what they think I should be doing or whatever the case may be. This is my platform to be loving but assertive. You may see a lot of emotion come out of me, but that's good. That's good. I'm going to allow myself to grieve and to release. That is the intention for this. So that being said, unlearning passive aggressive behavior. I've been in therapy. I think I shared with you a lot of times. I've shared with y'all that I've been in therapy on and off. Currently, I'm not in therapy, so let me put that out there. And I wish I was, but realistically, I'm in between jobs right now. So, insurance and therapy is expensive, period. Even with being someone in the mental health field, like I understand the logistics of it, but I also see the other side of it as well, but it won't always be that way. For those who don't know Faith, I have a tendency, we're going to speak past tense, I had a tendency to, well, let me also be honest, there's still parts, listen, this is a progressive growth, right? I don't have it all together, but there are times still where I can identify, okay, passive aggressive behavior. Passive aggressive behavior to me was realistically not speaking up. Instead, would have an emotion towards somebody. I would be angry. I would be like, I might not have quite figured out the actual emotion, but I didn't like something and I didn't speak up on it. So that came out in a behavior where it was passive aggressive, where I'm, side-eyeing you, or I'm ignoring you, or I'm being fake. Where, let's be honest, fake in the sense where but realistically, I had a problem and I didn't showcase it because I was so fearful of not being validated if I spoke up. I was fearful of people not understanding my perspective and trying to exert their perspective, or I was also fearful of the fact that what if somebody didn't agree with me? Like, what if they saw my perspective but they didn't agree with me? I didn't like that because my ego was driving to prove a point, and I had to understand that my ego was a detriment. Not that it's a bad thing, but it was a detriment in that sense of being passive aggressive, because for one, what does passive aggressiveness do? It indicates that there are some needs that need to be identified, whether that's being heard, whether that's being validated. But for me, it suppressed on many different variables. For me, passive aggressiveness came from childhood trauma. I grew up in a very restrictive environment, very religious. My way is either my mother's way, Jesus' way, and that's it. So there were aspects of my voice that were suppressed because that the fear was instilled. And I know that wasn't the intention of my mom or any adult figure in my life, but that's how I felt as a child. I didn't feel like I could be free, willy-nilly Faith, or, even disagree with anybody. So it was like I was shaped to just be a yes man, be a no man, be a people pleaser. That's another variable I'm gonna showcase. To be a people pleaser, I learned that my needs didn't matter. My thoughts, my emotions didn't matter. And in order to please other people, I had to do whatever that they said. You know, go out to places I might not really want to go to, you know, I don't know, I can't think of any examples right now, but any more examples, but people pleasing was a big part of my identity. I didn't know what faith really wanted. I didn't really know. I didn't really understood the needs of what I needed because I was so used to pouring into other people and, oh, it's okay. It's okay. Always being understanding. Like, that is my super strength, to be empathetic, but I had to learn boundaries. So people pleasing stemmed a lot of the anger that I had towards people I didn't even realize. I had a lot of unconscious anger, and it would showcase in my behaviors, and that's where the fakeness would come in. And realistically, I don't like that. I didn't like how I was acting. I don't like how it made me feel, because realistically, I wasn't open in that throat chakra. My instinct a lot of those times would be telling me, Faith, just say no. Faith, just do this. Just exert your opinion. Politely disagree. It was two extremes for me. Either I was passive or I was being too aggressive. When I did speak up, I was, no, you gonna hear what I gotta say? Ego. It was that ego where I wanted to always be right. And realistically, the bigger picture I had to learn in this unlearning passive aggressiveness is, it's not a matter of being right. There is no right or wrong. It's a matter of being open, being honest, and being loving at the same time. So in other words, being honest about how I feel about certain situations, things that people may be doing that I don't agree with, but also being open to the opposite, their opinion, their perspective, because we all are going to showcase and see things differently from a different perspective. That's the beautiful things about being us and being human, right? But not a lot of people can take that openness, or a lot of people just want you to agree with their side. And I was fearful of that. Like, oh God, if I don't agree with it, I thought that was going to create conflict. I didn't know how to handle conflict. I mean, I'm still learning how to handle conflict, but I also am learning proper communication, that there doesn't always have to be conflict, even when a disagreement. To each his own, you know what I mean? And that's the loving part that came in, to recognize that people are going to showcase and believe what they want to believe. They are going to project what they feel about themselves based off of past experience, and that has nothing to do with me. In being passive aggressive, I had a tendency to always internalize other people's problems. You know, some people call that being empathetic. Some people just call that as an aspect of people pleasing. It doesn't matter what the label is. I just knew it was problematic. And this is one of the hardest things that I am having to learn. And when I say hard, I mean progressive, because change is uncomfortable, but change is beautiful. And if I want to attract different, if I want to showcase differently, I realize a lot of that obviously is going to have to start with me and changing my heart, my mind, my perception on people. But also I realize the power of love. Like, on the aggressive side of things, hanging with me, y'all, because I know I might be over the place, but on the aggressive, when I was aggressive and I spoke up and I was you going there, that's usually when I was telling somebody off. But that's when I realized that was that hurt inner child coming out, because all those years where I was silenced, and everybody reaches their breaking point. And a lot of times my breaking point was just straight aggression, because I want you to hear my point. I haven't felt heard. I have not felt validated. So you gonna hear what I have to say, period. But although that's not always necessarily a bad thing, it's not the way for me, because it's damaging. It's really damaging. Some people call it passion. And yes, sometimes it's important for people to see that emotion, that rawness from you. But for me, I was using it as a form of manipulation. I was using it as a form that, well, if you don't hear what I have to say, then I'm done with you. Or it was always some stipulations. And that's shady. That's shady. That's shady. And I didn't want to live that way, because once I recognized that, okay, that's the inner child coming out, and maybe it was also accountability on me. Maybe I didn't create and communicate boundaries for people to understand what I like, what I'm okay with, and what I'm not. I allowed too many people to cross boundaries that I didn't even know that didn't exist. And so that's where the anger and the stuff are coming out, because now I'm pouring into you and you and you and you and you. I'm agreeing with you. But then when the tables are turned, I'm not getting the same in response. So that's where you get the nasty faith. And I don't like the nasty faith, to be honest. She's not very nice. She's not very loving. And you know what I realized really shakes the room? You know what really shakes people up? Because most people are looking for a reaction, correct? You know, some people like to push buttons because that's just whatever internal situation that's going on with them. I don't know. It's not for me to worry about. But, you know, to not give people the reaction, but what I realized was to showcase love, assertive love, smile, showcase genuine. I'm not talking about fake shit like, oh girl, it's okay, but you still a bitch. You know what I mean? Like, not that. Genuine love really does something to people because they don't know what to do with that. Oh, you're not yelling back? Oh, you're not reacting to me? Oh, you're not... Girl, what's wrong with her? Shakes the room. And if you know what I'm talking about, you get it. If you don't, I'm telling you, try it. I'm not saying you got to do it my way, but there is a difference. It shakes people, and it actually does a lot more good than just me trying to prove my point and try to tell somebody off, even though they might deserve it. It's not worth it. And that's my faith and belief system. You know, some people might disagree and they think you need to fight it out. You think, you know, there are times where you should speak up. And again, that's what I'm learning. But speaking up in a way that still showcases my truth, but still is genuine, loving to people. Because at the end of the day, no one can then turn around and say, well, Faith did that. I loved on you wholeheartedly. Did I implement boundaries with you? Sure, because that's respecting and honoring myself. Did I set aside my ego because I really wanted to tell you off, or I really wanted? Yes, I did. But I, at the end of the day, see people for, that's that loving piece. See people for who they are. I had to learn that. See people who they are, the good, bad, and ugly, and still see them as a divine human being, because that is my special trait, to see things past the surface level. But I had to acknowledge the surface level in order to be very understanding that, oh, that person just got a lot of stuff going on. It has nothing to do with me. And even if it did, there's an opportunity we can talk about it, or we just love you from a distance. I never knew the power of loving people from a distance and how much of a safety net that is, because at the end of the day, God is going to work on the hearts. I can't change the heart of a human being. I can't change the spirit of a human being. All I can do is to showcase differently, to be differently, to be a light, to be assertive, but also be loving. Duality. It's a beautiful thing. Very, very tricky, but it's a beautiful thing. And I'm telling you, the power in being authentically loving but assertive, that's how I'm reframing the narrative. I no longer have to be passive aggressive. But I can love on you from a distance. I can love on you by still speaking my truth. And if that means my emotions come out, of course I'm gonna take the best efforts and try. What I'm learning is taking the best efforts in going back to a breath, going back to my intentions with this people. Because, you know, people at the end of the day, they're irky, murky. I can be irky and murky. So I understand that there's still very much human aspects with dealing with other human beings, but you do have the control and power to overcome that in order to speak truth and still be loving and assertive. I don't feel like you always have to fight people. If you have to feel like you always fight people, there's something else disrupting their spirit where they are in fight or flight mode. That's not me. Respectfully, that's not. And it used to be, though. It used to be. And, you know, we all human and we all still fall short a lot of times. So this is not a perfectionism thing, because I'm still human. I still have beautiful experience. I still make mistakes. I still make judgments where I think is best at the time, but I won't dwell on them. I did my best. All that being said, passive aggressiveness and my ego, I had to learn stem hand in hand. And that's what therapy helped me work on, the inner child wounds. life and experiences helped me practice and implement the coping skills that I developed there, but also helped me by going through life. Obviously, it still helps me realize the things that I still might have left in me, my behaviors, and what I need to do to change. Because my motto, if you know better, you need to do better, right? I mean, perfectionism, you can't strive, that's unrealistic. But I know I personally got tired of doing passive aggressive, because all it does is just create animosity in me towards people who might have a lot going on, or it might not even be about you. You know, I have a tendency to think that it's a little narcissistic thing about it, but you know, that people just are always out to get me, which I had to realize that was a self-projection of me. The manipulation. Remember, I said I used to use passive aggressiveness as a form of manipulation for people to come see my side, because that's what I had to do as a child. I had to, in order, since nobody was really listening to me, or was this way or that way, it was, okay, I gotta be extra in order for you to hear me out. I gotta cry, I gotta yell, I gotta scream, I gotta cuss you out, I gotta do whatever it is to get your attention. If that means I have to be shady, like this is what I thought in the past. I had to be shady, or I had to honestly bring people down, talk about people. I thought I had to be fake in order to get people to agree with my side. And that ain't it. That's not it. And I'm so grateful that God actually sat my ass down and made me do a big self-reflection, and I had to realize I had to forgive. Y'all gonna always hear me talking about forgiveness, because it is the source. Forgiveness of myself for being passive aggressive in the past, for not knowing better then, but also forgiving of others, because I pick up on a lot, and that's part of the passive aggressive. I ignore it. Like now and moving forward, if I pick up on passive aggressive, I laugh at it, because to me, that's you, and that's a reflection of you. Once again, me calling you out, yeah, there's perks to it. But if somebody's not in the spirit to receive it, or it might not be that right time and for me to call it out, then I might be doing more damage than good. Or I might be setting myself up for somebody to cuss me out or whatever. And you know, I'm not fully there yet. I don't like disrespect. I don't. I mean, who really does? But I don't. So I allow the spirit to move me. I allow space. I allow opportunities to sit with myself, so I can sit and be honest. Faith, is this you? Are you tripping? Or are you really picking? That's where instinct comes in. Are you really picking up something and it just might not be yours? What's mine is mine. What's theirs is theirs. And at the end of the day, if you're picking up passive aggressiveness, what I do now is I pray for them. I love on them the best way I can, even if that means from a distance. And it's freeing. It's so freeing. And like I said, it took me to sit down and be honest with myself. The faith that you have some part to play in this. You do. But now that you know better, you're going to do better. And I'm so grateful to therapy. I'm grateful to the people who have kept me accountable. And I'm grateful for just myself. Like, as far as I'm proud of myself. Like, I'm very proud of myself. And I don't say those words a lot because I always felt like I wasn't doing enough. You know, I'm still unlearning and reframing that narrative of I'm not enough. But I am, and God is continuing to help me open up my throat chakra as I'm sitting here and even discussing this with y'all, because I recognize the anger. I recognize these emotions that are very much valid, but at the end of the day, I had to recognize it's not about being right. It's not about proving a point. It's not about, well, you gonna hear what I have to say. You gonna da-da-da-da-da. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Be assertively loving and passionate towards people. Forgive, because you never know internally what somebody feels about themselves, what experiences led them to feel like they have to spaz out, or, you know, like, extend grace. And it's not gonna be easy. It might not even be fair, but that's what makes you different. that's what shakes people, because they be like, what? Most people would be spazzing off like that. How do you know what I love? You know what I really love? When people be like, well, that couldn't be me. Oh, well, I couldn't do that. I know. Respectfully, I know. And to each his own. Respect. Really do what you think is best. But I will not tolerate certain things. And I don't know. I'm just... Honestly, I feel free just by speaking about this. So hopefully you guys are hanging on with me. But like, I might do a part 2 to this. But I just felt like the need to really showcase my truth and just unlearning this passive aggressiveness tendencies that I had, that I'm still learning to undo, and letting go. Just letting go and watching how God works on that person. Because, oh, wait. I also used to think with passive aggressiveness that if I overextended my love, this is before I realized the difference between assertive love and just being passive love. If I do this, if I do this, then I'm going to receive what I need. No, Faith, maybe you just need to implement some boundaries and knowing who you need to talk to, who you need to hang around with. Like, that's no shade. That's just, it is what it is. And I think that's the beautiful part of maturing and being a divine being, is understanding how to compartmentalize people, how to compartmentalize activities, and, like, to protect yourself. That's honoring yourself, but also honoring people. My opinion, but allowing God also creates movement for God to step in, and it's no longer he said, she said, me trying to control things, me trying to convince people, no, Faith. Say your truth, step back, and let God work. So serious. This has been nothing but profound movement for me once I adapted this, and it's freeing. And I'm learning to really love and forgive people for even the things that they might not realize that they're doing, but I've peeped, but yet I still choose to showcase differently to you. Understanding that I'm not going to tolerate certain things, but also know I still love you regardless. I still love you, I still respect you, and I'm still, as a human being, I still respect you as that, because nobody should be treated in a foul manner. Like, I just don't believe that. That just might be the kindness and, my optimistic side of me, but like, that's how you raise the vibrations of this earth, is loving. It is no other way. Forgiving. And forgiveness is a form of love, because you're choosing to not sit in the ugly that people might deserve. But guess what? I make mistakes, but yeah, I'm still forgiven. It's literally an honor to do the same, and you will be blessed for it. Your perspective on life will change. You'll be able to laugh at things that used to bother you. You be able to just breathe a new sense of purpose and identity, because it's no longer in unhealthy ways of coping. It's no longer set in past traumas. It's no longer set in reactivity from other people. You literally can just, respectfully, I'm gonna do me and watch how things shake the room. So for anyone who is still struggling with being passive aggressive, or still dealing with wounds that you might not even realize, it's okay for one. It's okay. Behaviors might not be acceptable, I'm gonna be honest with you, but it's okay to admit it. It's okay. You might feel embarrassment. You might feel a lot of emotions to it, because that, it's tough hearing the truth about yourself, but it's freeing. I promise you it's freeing. And your story might not look like mine, but I know this is going to resonate with somebody. And try to see things for what they are, but still progressively, assertively love them. That's what I like to say. Assertive love, not passive love. Hopefully that makes sense to y'all. Honestly, I might have a part 2. Keep going, keep learning, keep unlearning to relearn yourself, so then you're able to view people in a different life and able to edify them. Let God work on them. I'm telling y'all, it's a real life changer, and I'm so grateful that I was able to humble myself and be open to recognize my own mistakes and still move past it. So if I can do it, you can do it as well. So I hope this blesses you, and I hope this resonates with you somehow. Please make sure to like, subscribe, to comment. I love feedback. I love interacting with people. I love deep conversations about change and growth. So don't be shy. Let's make this a thing. Y'all, be easy.